Well, this is just a silly billy little episode for y'all. I just got done talking with Molly Laser, who is 8 months pregnant, looks like she's about to pop. And I've always had a fascination with pregnant women, not in like a freaky deaky kind of way, but I mean, there is a literal human just nuzzled up inside of her. And she really did not hold back, honey. To be honest, I'm sure we actually spread some misinformation on this podcast. So check your facts, talk to your doctors, because we could have definitely been spreading some lore, some old time fairy tale lore. So if you just are ever like, what are your poops like? You gonna rip your taint? We've got the answers. So go grab yourself a leisure hydration, ePetros 10 for 10% off, and welcome to Emily Talks 2. I didn't realize how pregnant you are.
Oh, yeah.
We're here. We've arrived.
Oh, 100%. I am almost at 33 weeks, so I just got to the 8-month mark.
You know what's crazy when people are like, I'm this amount of weeks along? I'm so dumb. I'm like, that could be 2 months. That could be 6. Like, well, that's 8 months, right?
Also, there's a huge misconception because everyone's like, pregnancy is 9 months. Pregnancy is 40 weeks. That is technically 10.
Stop.
Yeah. So, like, I right now still have, like, 8 weeks to go.
Fuck that.
Yeah, so it's like, that's deceiving to most people.
So it is 10 months.
Yes.
Give or take.
Give or take.
Okay, so I've known Molly for a long time, and I'm prefacing that because some of the questions that I have for you are so utterly out of pocket.
I love it.
But they are the things that I worry about, or I'm concerned about if I, God willing, get pregnant one day.
I'm ready.
So we're going to get into the logistics really quick.
Yeah. When a man loves a woman.
When a man loves a woman.
Yeah.
How did you get pregnant? Who got you pregnant? Did you plan it? Like, let's start with the basics.
Yeah. Okay, so Jordan, my fiance.
Okay.
He proposed in July. And I basically was like, I don't want a big wedding. What if we just kind of started trying for a baby? And I thought it was going to take a long time because I got diagnosed with PCOS years back.
Sure.
And a lot of people had told me that you couldn't, see a fertility specialist until you were trying for a year and all of those things. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Might
as well try.
Worst case scenario is our timelines just moved up.
Surprise.
Right. We know we both wanted it. I confirmed that on my second date.
Got it.
Yeah. No wasting time.
I get it.
And so, yeah, we got pregnant basically our first go around.
Wow.
Which is crazy because I also, based off of like the measurements that the doctor took at my early appointments, I didn't even think I was ovulating. So I was like, oh. And it's kind of crazy. Like, some of the math feels like a little bit like old school witchcraft.
Totally.
But
it's so wild that for some women, it is like the most treacherous, emotionally tolling experience trying to get pregnant. And then there are some women who are like, oopsie poopsie.
Yeah. And like,
just happened.
You kind of feel, as someone who was very fortunate.
Yeah.
Like, you feel a little guilty.
Interesting.
Because, there's so many women I love that I know that are trying and it's hard. And everyone's like, just relax, just have fun. It'll happen. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You have to have like the perfect conditions.
Totally.
And so my heart just like breaks because there are so many couples I know that I'm like, you should reproduce.
Yeah.
I would love to see a combination of you two.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of a crapshoot, and I feel like you don't really know until you're doing it, whether or not it's going to be easy, hard.
Yes.
Like getting pregnant or being pregnant.
Yes.
Kind of remember watching the Amy Schumer documentary, and I was like, oh, so I'm never getting pregnant. What's the thing she had? Like,
I didn't watch it.
It's where you're like throwing up every day.
Oh, hyperemesis.
Yes. You don't poop for like months.
Well, nothing's making its way down.
Correct.
Yeah, which, not for us.
Sure. So I have so many questions about what it's like being pregnant.
Let's do it.
We're going to jump right the fuck in.
Yeah, I'm ready.
The hands on the belly. Are we feeling a kick?
I'm waiting for him to move. Hands always on the belly, honestly.
Okay.
And he's leaning a little bit lodged here. So sometimes if he gets under my rib, I got to give him a nudge.
You can literally push the baby around?
Yeah.
Stop. Stop.
Sometimes I do when he's uncomfortable for my tiny body.
I think I just dissociated for a second because it really just clicked in my mind that, like, there is a human inside of you. Why is that freaking me out?
Yeah. Trust me. I get it.
Whoa.
I get it.
So you pee on the stick. Mm-hmm. It says you're pregnant.
Well, so basically, Jordan took me out to dinner for my birthday.
Okay.
He was working on my actual birthday. Then we went out to dinner the night after. And I looked at the menu and they have seasonal changes. And I looked the day before and they still had my favorite item. And then when I got there, they didn't. And I almost burst out in tears.
Shit. You're like, something's up.
And I was like, that's oddly emotional reaction to pasta. And so then I was also being like such a bitch to Jordan.
And you had no idea you were pregnant?
No, because my cycle was all over the place. And so I was still technically in my realm of normal. I was just on the longer side.
Okay.
And so we were going up to Seattle for the UW-Oregon game. And yeah, go Dogs, baby.
Turn up.
And I was like, maybe we should just like pick up a test. Because this is going to be like a bender of a weekend.
Sure.
And I would just feel better knowing. And I took it while we were packing, like we were doing stuff. Like I was just kind of like, I'll just take it. We're doing stuff. He's like on his hands and knees scrubbing the kitchen floor.
And lo and behold.
And then I like saw it and I like literally gasped.
Yeah, what's the first thing you did? Like it says pregnant. What's the first thought?
Hands to mouth. And then I walked into the doorway and he looks back and he was like, "Are you serious?"
Oh my God.
Or like, "Are you?" Yeah, I think his response was, "Are you serious?" And I literally couldn't get words out. I couldn't get anything out. And then he like came over and he looked at it and then we just like embraced and like just like fell on the bed like crying and laughing and just like
oh my
holding
God.
each other. Yeah, so we were stoked.
So when the shock wore off, you just get on a plane and you're like, okay, got to keep this secret.
And I literally was like, oh my God, I want to tell my parents immediately.
Right.
But then you're like, okay, I got to call my doctor. I need to make sure this is... Your brain just kind of shifts, or my brain shifts, I should say.
Into like logic.
Into logic. I was like, I'm going to take another test tomorrow.
Okay. And
I took the digital ones that say pregnant or not pregnant. Shout out Clear Blue. I wasn't fucking with the lines.
No,
you know?
no.
And so I took another test the next day. Called the doctor. The doctor was like... Or the doctor's office was like, you need to come in like immediately. And I was like, okay. So I went in on Monday. And they were going based off my last period.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I got a long cycle.
Sure.
You know, everyone's like, we don't give a shit. The doctor did. So I had to switch doctors, went in, and then it was too early.
To do what?
To basically confirm viability.
Okay.
So she was like, come back in 3.5 weeks. So then I'm just...
Twiddling your thumbs.
Yeah. And you're anxious as hell.
And you can't tell your parents.
You technically... Here's the deal. You can tell whoever the fuck you want to tell whenever you want to tell.
Sure.
Can I cuss on here?
Please.
Okay.
The rule is 3 months for like your friends, right?
Well, and the old wives' tale, which is you have the highest chance of miscarrying.
In the first 3 months.
In the first 3 months.
Wives' tale, so it's not true?
I mean, you do. No. So the data is you do have a higher chance of miscarrying. But it feels, I guess, I'm not aligned with the sense that a miscarriage is shameful. And like has to be kept to me.
Got it.
Like, I want my people to know I'm going to need support if that happens.
Totally.
And so that's the approach I took of... But I also wanted to tell people in person, so that played a role as well, because it was, like, also around the holidays and things like that. So we started telling people at 8 weeks when I got...
Doing the math. So that's 2.5 months?
Yeah. So
that's 2 months?
2 months. Yeah,
okay.
You're good. You're getting there.
Yep.
I mean,
Baby
live,
steps.
on air, everybody.
Whoa. Bummer. Okay.
And so once we got, like, confirmed viability, so there's, like, a couple things they check to basically...
Blood tests and stuff?
So they do blood tests. There's also, like, oh, God, I'm going to blunder this. I'm not a medical professional. There's, like a gestational sac, and then there's, like, some type of pole or something or other.
Dead.
There's a couple things, like, I think there's 4 markers.
Okay.
That they want to confirm.
Make sure the hardware is in good shape.
Make sure everything's okay.
Okay.
And then from that point on, we would tell people. But again, you're still anxious as fuck.
Totally.
The whole time.
Well, and do you keep the stick? Like, did you save the stick?
I still have it.
When people do pregnancy announcements and they, like, have the pee stick on, like, a silver platter and they, like, lift open the lid to their husband, I'm like, huh? Or they, like, put it in, like, a crock pot while, like, a beef stew is broiling.
Yeah, you know, I didn't do any of those.
Sure. You kind of kept it.
But I also couldn't contain my reaction.
Right.
Like, that's a crazy thing to me. I had a really cute idea when we were, like, going to tell our parents, and we had just gone on a trip. We were in Scotland and Ireland. And so I was going to make them a photo book of our trip, and then I was going to end it with a picture of the ultrasound.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I got to wait for the book to be made. And also, the first ultrasound we got, the pictures are ass. They're so...
You can't even tell that anything's in there.
So bad. I got them, and we walked out of the doctor's office and just laughed. I was like, look how shit these are. Like, I can't show anybody this.
You
like,
put in the photo book, they're like, what is this?
I'm like, did you go scuba diving?
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't see anything. It's just... And so we just laughed about it, and I was like, well, I didn't have time to make the book anyways.
Sure.
Because I needed to tell my parents immediately.
I feel like that's so indicative of the entire pregnancy journey, is when you think you know what's going to happen, or if you start planning.
Fuck your plans.
Get ready.
Yes.
So people say that the first trimester is not talked about enough. Was the first trimester pretty rough?
For me, it was. Again, everyone's journey is different.
There's no one size fits all.
And people have totally different symptoms. I had a laundry list of symptoms, but none of them were debilitating.
So we're talking physical and emotional?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was super nauseous the whole time, which is tough. I only threw up, though, a handful of times.
Okay.
Whereas some people get HG and they're throwing up constantly.
Oof.
And that's, like, my heart breaks for them. That's fucking miserable.
Horrible.
Yeah, because, so my first trimester, I had a ton of nausea. I'm sure I had a ton of everything else. I just can't remember at this point. The fatigue was crazy, but I was sleeping so good.
And you're working at this point? I mean, you have a 9 to 5?
Yeah, I don't understand why we decided on this path, but that's for episode 2.
Taking down the system.
Yeah.
Wow. So then at what point do the cravings kick in? I mean, if you're so nauseous.
My cravings? So in my early, for me, I was like, bring on the beef.
You wanted beef.
I wanted beef. I wanted steak. I wanted cheeseburgers. And like, I like cheeseburgers, but like by no means is that like in my top 5 foods.
And you were getting the shit weekly.
And I was like, wow, let's fucking go. But
smash
chicken,
burger.
I wanted nothing to do with.
Oh, interesting.
So I had a really strong aversion to chicken, which I found is also very common. Almost every woman I've talked to that has been pregnant is like, oh,
hated chicken. But like pickles, was that a thing? Why'd I say it like
pickles. I love pickles year round. So that wasn't crazy for me.
Okay.
But like, you know, I've seen videos of people wanting like really weird combinations of things.
Right.
I haven't had that.
Okay.
I also
Just
have
beef.
food allergies. So, like, there's certain things, like, yeah, I crave ice cream, but
Dairy
a lot
would
of
fuck you
ice
up.
cream, yeah, a lot of ice cream has egg in it, and I can't have egg.
Oh. Huh.
So, I know there's other alternatives, you guys, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Some sorbet.
Yeah.
Sherbet.
Yeah, like,
whatever.
okay.
So, do you feel it? Him, her, they, whatever.
Him. He's a boy.
Do you feel him growing inside of you?
Yes.
Like you literally feel, obviously you don't feel fingers being formed, but like.
No, yeah.
What does that feel like? Is it a day-to-day thing, or do you kind of check in every week and you're like, whoa, this is.
No, it was truly for something that is so in body, it feels like an out-of-body experience.
Truly can't imagine.
So, I remember the first time I felt him kick, and everyone's like, it's a little flutter, and that was not my experience.
He black belt kicked you.
It felt like popcorn.
Stop.
So it was like, boom, boom. But also what I think they don't tell you enough about is the shifting of your organs in pregnancy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what happens, right? He has to grow. There's nowhere for him to grow or her, and so your organ shift. So, like, honestly, when I first started feeling it, I was like, is that gas? Like, what's...
Yeah, what do you mean by, do you feel like your liver is in it, or your uterus is in a dip? Well, your uterus is holding it, I suppose. But
yeah,
like,
and your uterus is growing, right? So, like,
you just get gassy then, huh?
Well, everything shifts. So, like, your normal signals for anything, and you know us, we're GI girlies.
100%.
You kind of know when you're in a trouble zone, you know when you're in all of these things, or how something you ate is affecting you. But my first, like, kicks, I was like, I thought it was gas. And then I was like, wait.
No, that's a foot.
It's
a foot inside of you.
That's him. Whoa. Because that's also like, not where my organ is right now.
So, and does it push on your spine? I'm like, can I do this with a metal spine? Makes it about me. Insane.
Yeah. No, I have no fucking idea. I don't have one.
Got it. You do have a spine.
No, I'm rocking with that.
Okay. But it doesn't, like, because you get back pain from the weight, not from it pushing on your back.
Yes. It's at least from my understanding and what I'm experiencing, it's your distribution of weight, right?
Okay.
Because you're going
forward.
You're going forward. And so then your hips and your back are probably overcompensating. But also, you have a ton of hormones. So relaxin is one of your hormones as well.
Relaxin?
Yeah.
You're lying.
I'm like, yeah. Why do we have this all the time? Can a doctor chime in? I don't know.
Wild.
And so it basically gives, like, this signal to your ligaments, like, it's okay to loosen, like, we're adjusting for something bigger.
Or bionic.
Yeah. I mean, pregnancy is crazy.
Well, so if you're saying everything shifts and moves, so I remember in middle school when we watched the birth video.
Did they rewind it so the baby went back in?
That's hilarious. Did they for you?
Yes.
That's incredible. That's some LA shit.
Yeah.
I just remember her vagina was so big.
Yeah.
Like, even the, like, slit, OBGYNs are rolling their fucking eyes. But, like, does your actual vagina get larger? Do you got a big puss? When you're giving birth? Or just, like, towards the end of pregnancy?
So totally. Like, your body is literally shifting. Like I said, a lot of people have different journeys, and their bodies change at different times.
Okay.
There's all these old wives' tales about, like, carrying a girl versus a boy type of thing.
Like, one sits higher than the other or whatever.
Yeah. But, like, your body is getting ready to deliver a baby, and you're also having increased blood flow, right?
Does your vagina, like, pulsate in a non-sexual way?
I haven't done it yet. Okay. I'll let you know.
Oh, you mean when you're giving birth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I will say, like, physically, my changes have been relatively minimal.
Okay.
I already had very large boobs.
Sure.
I know that could be very shocking.
Well, you're also 4'11".
Yeah.
So you're a tiny gal.
Oh yeah, I've been winded forever now.
Yeah,
I'm like,
from the start of this podcast. Just a little bit more on the
16
inhale.
weeks, I literally went to my doctor and I was like, I'm winded and I need to know like if I should be concerned.
Right.
And she looked at me dead ass and she was like, you're 4'11". Where's he gonna go?
I mean, stay humble.
I was like, okay, but no cause for concern because everyone's like, oh, week 31, really, you get so winded. And I was like, 31? That's fucking long way away.
That's a long ways. Do people... So I'm wondering what the most annoying thing people say is. Wow, the way I phrase that. Yoda. Because I feel like when you're saying all these people are like, oh, this is going to be this way at this point, and this is going to be that way at this point. I feel like that is very fear-based. And I'm like, should people just kind of shut the fuck up? Or is it helpful, or both?
It depends. It totally varies.
Okay.
Like, I am super fortunate that I have an older sister that has gone through this twice.
Got it. You get the inside scoop.
And I have, you know, people that are close to me that have had children, and I really identify and appreciate their perspective. Because sometimes it's nice to feel like, oh, this is normal, right?
Right.
And then there's other times where people say shit, and you're like, shove it.
Yeah.
You know?
And is that usually just like the lay person on the street?
Not even necessarily. And I know everyone, it's hard because it's like everyone's well-intentioned.
Totally.
Right? And I totally approach it as that. But also when you have a surge of hormones, sometimes you're just irritable and you're like, listen, you had a baby 30 fucking years ago.
Right.
Let me do this.
Right.
And again, I'm very fortunate that like my mom isn't like that, because I know there's a lot of like mother-daughter relationships that can be like that. And my mom's not like that at all. So like it's often other people. And I will say the one most annoying thing is when people are like, how are you? And you're like, I'm tired. Like, I'm a level of tired I've never been.
Sure.
And they're like, just wait till the baby comes. And I'm like,
please keep it to yourself.
I know. And my sister, again, thank God, was like, it's not the same tired.
Right.
Like, at all. And I've had a couple other like great women in my life tell me that. Like, it's nowhere near the same.
Also, what a backhanded thing to say. Hate it.
Yeah, or it's like, you're going to be tired for the rest of your life. And I'm like...
So it's like, enjoy the tired you're feeling now?
Yeah,
like, what a weird... What's the goal?
You'll be tired tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. And then does it bug you when people touch your stomach? Like, I feel like there's this pull for people to touch a pregnant woman.
I mean, if a stranger touched my stomach...
Different
I'd be
story.
Like, here's my foot.
Right.
You know? But no, not a lot of people touch my stomach, and it's mostly just been like family, and they're super respectful, but I'm cool.
Yeah. Cop a feel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care.
Okay.
If I know you, if I don't know you, get the fuck out.
Different story.
Yeah.
They're like putting a hex on your baby. Now, this one is definitely from the deep portals of my mind.
I want to know.
When you're now in your third trimester and you poop, does it feel like the baby's going to come out?
What a great question. So I will say there are times, third trimester has been rough on the bowels.
Okay.
So I had been warned about the constipation, and one of the things they also warn you about is like, don't sit too long because you could get hemorrhoids.
Too late?
Too late. So you're fucked.
Yeah, too late.
And sometimes there is a pressure. It doesn't feel like the baby's coming out, but it feels like a pressure there that you're like...
In kind of your taint region.
Yeah, where you're like, I'm not pooping.
Right.
You know? So
nothing's
then
coming out. Because there are times that when I poop, mind you, I'm not pregnant. And sometimes I think, I'm feeling sensations in between my two holes where perhaps a baby would reside.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the baby's pooping inside of you, right?
The baby is peeing. I don't think the baby is pooping.
So it's just like kind of one viscous liquid coming out of it that then filters through your kidneys and on its way out?
No, so...
Or wait, just through the umbilical cord?
No. So the umbilical cord, like that connects the placenta, that's where he's getting all of his nutrients.
Okay.
If there's a doctor out there...
Please, chime in.
Actually, don't.
Yep. We're qualified.
Yeah. But no, he won't poop until he's out, right? I think.
Okay.
Because it's called meconium. I think, again, medical community. The reason I remember that is because it's like black tar. The first
poop?
Yeah. And someone worked in a hospital. My memory is failing me. Someone worked in a hospital, was delivering. The mom who gave birth asked the doctor what that word was, and they said meconium.
Okay.
And she was like, I love that name.
If you say they fucking named the child meconium.
Yeah, and then they said, she's not going to be a doctor?
No.
I don't know if that's true or if it's a...
That's lore.
Yeah.
That's fully lore.
But it's good.
Oh my God.
You remember it.
Wow. Okay. So poop doesn't happen until after.
No, because like part of the amniotic fluid is his urine.
Part of the amniotic... Whoa.
Uh-huh.
So it's just kind of like sitting in its own pee? In ways?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we're kind of getting a little naughty.
Sure.
Do you still have a libido when you're pregnant?
I don't.
Yeah. How could you?
I
You know what I mean?
Well,
Because you
also-
can't fuck on your back, right?
Yeah, you can't lay on your back.
So missionary's a no. And then what, you're going to... Cowgirl?
As if.
Get out of here.
Yeah, no. Not for me. And again, the surge of hormones can be like amazing for women.
In terms of libido.
In terms of libido and sex drive and all of those things. And I'm like, you go, girl. My bed is for sleeping.
Right.
And all I want to do is sleep.
The few times you have had sex being pregnant, does it feel better, worse, different?
Not that different. I just feel bigger.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, do you just like...
And then I get in my head that I'm getting a UTI because I'm already super UTI prone. And you hear these horror stories of like untreated UTIs leading to women thinking they're going into preterm labor.
Right.
And I don't need that.
No, thank you.
And I'm already peeing 18,000 times a day.
Can you imagine it feeling like knives while you're pregnant and peeing?
No. Fuck
so that's where we get him a fleshlight and we just say, God bless you for 9 months. You have my blessing.
Yeah, like...
Not today.
Yeah, we're focused on other things. Yes.
Interesting. So then...
they say that sex can help induce labor.
That makes sense.
Yeah, there's something in the sperm...
Do you also hear this wives' tale that if you feel... This is so nuts. If you are late on your period and you like want to induce your period to have an orgasm and it like helps contract your uterus for the flow to start. We need a doctor in here immediately. This is what we call fake news. Yeah, I am spreading lies.
This is where rumors start.
Correct.
I haven't heard that.
Did you also hear the story that went around where like someone was getting married and then she opened the door and someone was getting breastfed?
Yeah.
Her husband was breastfeeding.
If that one has any sense of truth,
I don't want to live here anymore. Also, track down the wife and husband. He was breastfeeding on his mom.
And the dad's there?
Also, how is the mom still producing milk?
If they never stopped.
That's insane.
Insane.
Dude, her nipples.
Oh.
Chew toys. So, how do you feel like being pregnant has affected your relationship with your fiance?
Honestly, I think it's been pretty beneficial.
Yeah. Has it brought you closer?
We've definitely gotten closer. I do feel bad because he definitely is the recipient of my hormonal rage.
Mm-hmm.
And, I cry a lot more, which I'm like kind of an in-between crier, but now I like cry hard. But he's very supportive.
Yeah. I feel like you're very communicative too, where you're hyper self-aware.
Well, and also I'm reading a lot. Like I try to not go down the TikTok and Instagram rabbit holes of, pregnant women.
Right.
Because everyone has their own story and journey. But I do like see what doctors are posting, or I have an app that has articles linked and things like that. And so I'd be like, wow, guess what? I grew a gallbladder this week.
Sure. And do you feel like it's contradicting information? Like, do you feel like you read one thing that says, do this, and then the next one is, don't do that?
Not from professionals.
Interesting how that happens.
Yeah, interesting how that happens. But you see, like, moms, like, sometimes if I want to get a better understanding of how products are.
Okay.
Because, like, you're so overstimulated and so overwhelmed. Everyone's like, oh, building a registry, how cute. I'm like, put needles in my eyes.
Please.
It was awful.
Oh.
It was awful. I feel for everyone. Again, I'm not super type A, but it's hard when you're also then, you're thinking about safety.
Right.
So I was doing minimal research to make sure, like, are all these products safe? Have there been recalls? Are there things I need to know from that perspective? But, like, someone being like, oh, we couldn't sleep without this. We couldn't, do this. I'm like, that's your child. Like, you're going to have to trial and error shit.
Right.
Don't
Or also may change between pregnancies, right? Like they say your first pregnancy, you're more hyper aware, hyper cautious. And then sometimes by the second pregnancy, you're like, someone pour me a glass of wine right now.
And you're like 5-second rule.
Right.
Like,
now I'm the second child, and let me tell you this, I have all the health problems. So I don't know.
I'm the third, dude. So.
Or our moms just have a little too much fun.
Yeah. They
God
were like,
damn.
Yeah, I could drink whiskey, but like I also have like chronic diarrhea.
Pick and choose. So with each episode, I do word association. I'm going to give you 4 words.
All at once?
No, one at a time.
I was like,
I know you're already, you're overstimulated.
I can't remember those.
I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Taint.
Hair.
Midwife.
Cool.
Pelvic floor.
Needs help.
Marzipan.
Nothing.
Perfect. You did great.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay.
Now you're
I'm gonna overthink that for the next few days.
Yeah, it's
until
gonna
I'm
be
like, hey, what were those words you said?
We're just gonna replay it. You're giving birth and you're like, fuck, I should have said. So you're due in a month.
I'm due June 24th. Yes.
Okay, a month and some change. How are you feeling about it now that it's kind of around the corner?
It's crazy. There's so much anxiety with pregnancy. So, like, for me, the first trimester, I felt like shit, but I was also super anxious. And then I got to the second trimester and all of my symptoms went away. And then I was anxious that I didn't have any symptoms because at least I had a signal of like, okay, we're working, buddy. And then there were a couple weeks where I didn't feel him kicking yet. So you're just like, are we good?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of my second trimester, I was like, oh shit. Like, I have to deliver the baby.
Yeah. It's happening.
And that was kind of like where all of my effort went into in understanding what my options are. I'm doing hospital delivery. Totally respect everybody's journey. There's not a chance I'm not going to be in that sterile zone in case something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And at first I remember, there's like that little bit of self-doubt, like, can I do this? And then you read more about it and you kind of have to just like anchor down.
We're
And
doing
I was
it.
like, yeah, Okay.
Well, women do it every day.
What? Yes.
But it's so weird because I'm sure once it happens to you, you're like, how the fuck do we do this?
Well, and everyone also, the hard part that I think happens is you also, it's so much easier to hear the horror stories.
Sure.
And so you're like, they tore all the way through, they pushed for ever and then had to have
shit
an
the
emergency
bed.
C. Oh,
right.
And a lot of women's biggest fear is shitting in the bed or the table. And
But I'm
like,
sure when you're there, you're like, I don't give a rat's ass.
I'm using the right muscles.
Right.
Like,
right.
I
Just
don't
get it out.
Yes.
Are you kind of at a point now where you're like, okay, I'm just ready for this baby to come out? Or are you kind of cherishing these moments and you're like, I kind of want this to be a little longer?
I am definitely in the latter. I
Okay.
have had a very wonderful pregnancy.
Yeah.
My pregnancy has been pretty kind to my body.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved being pregnant.
Mm.
And so a part of me is like, let's just keep cooking, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to make sure you're strong and ready and have all of these things. And have, the best chance of survival in this cruel world.
Yeah.
But, again, I can also anticipate that if I make it to 40, like, physically, whoa, baby.
Yeah. You mean in terms of a second one?
No. Like,
Oh.
in terms of, like, physically how big I'm going to get.
Oh.
Because I feel it now. Like, I'm winded. I can feel him. His moves have gotten a lot bigger. Circling back, you asked that question a while ago, and I don't think I ever fully answered it. But, like, feeling him grow, like, his movement is really the signal.
Okay.
Where you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And, like, at one point I was like, he's doing a somersault. And this feels so crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like, does that get old after a while? You're
No.
like, no.
You know what it does? It ends up becoming so comforting.
Huh.
Because that's your signal that, like, he's moving, he's okay.
Right.
And then it's also scary because then you go into, like, overdrive, but you're like, he's just probably sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I've had a busy day. It's probably just rocking him to sleep.
Right.
And then all of
Right.
a sudden at 3 a.m., I'm like, oh, yeah, remember that anxiety you had? It's okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much prep that goes into this. And I think we forget how resilient we are and also how resilient kids are. Because, of course, you hear these horrific stories.
Oh, yeah.
And you never want that to come to fruition.
No.
And also, you're a badass.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I hope I remain that.
And I can picture your little 4'11" body on that hospital bed, fucking clenching those bars. Just,
Yeah, we're getting him out. Like, that was, I mean, wow, train of thought just went.
It went, bye-bye. See ya.
But yeah, I feel, I know what I was going to say. I saw this post that was like, supportive things you could say to your partner in labor. And I'm laughing because you know me. And if Jordan said any of these to me,
You'd kill him.
he was getting kicked out of the room.
Stop.
Like, they were, and again, I know that there are certain guys that it would just come so naturally. But if Jordan says any of these words to me, I was like, no.
Like what?
You were, they were just... It wasn't even like, you got this, you're so strong. It wasn't like the basics, right? It was like, think about what you're doing for our family.
Oh, please.
Something like that.
Oh, please.
And I was like...
Leave it at the door.
I was like...
Strap on a muzzle and hold my hand. Kiss my forehead.
And I was like, you are getting cussed out
Yes.
by me. I'm not cussing at the staff.
Oh, my God.
Or like, my doctor, obviously, because they're there to help me.
Yeah.
You are the recipient. Wow. But Jordan wants to deliver the baby.
What do you mean by that?
Because he's trained.
With like a catcher's mitt down
Yeah.
at the puss?
Basically, he asked that at our first doctor's appointment.
Oh, because he's an EMT.
He's a paramedic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he's like, I have formal training. And I was like, And we made jokes about this before we were even pregnant. I didn't think this was serious. And I was like, no. And my doctor was like, we will do whatever Molly is comfortable with.
There we go.
And I was like, hell yeah, doctor.
There we go.
And she was like, you could put your hands on my hands.
That's so romantic.
Yeah.
That's so... Here's the thing. I wouldn't even want to catch my own child. I don't want to see that.
You know, I downloaded a birth plan template. I feel like I should have printed it. We would have had a field day.
A birth plan? Like what you pack?
No. Birth plan. Well, no, it didn't have that. Of like what you want your birth setting to be like.
Okay.
And things like that.
Erykah Badu playing in the back.
Yeah, like
makeup artist giving you a full
moonlighting.
contour.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I want an epidural.
Yeah.
And you know who's allowed in the room, those type of things.
Okay. Has that changed with COVID? Like, can you now only have one person in the room?
I'm sure there are rules. I still think it's crazy that people used to have so many people in the room.
Yeah.
That feels wild.
Yeah,
to
you're
me.
like putting on a show.
Yeah, I'm like, no. And one of them was like, do you want a mirror to see the baby?
Oh,
and
grow
I was
up.
like,
Grow up.
I don't want that at all.
Absolutely
I
not.
want the baby to come out crying
Washed.
and on my chest.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow. Are you going to eat the placenta? No.
No. I'm not doing that.
Fry it. Put it over some
make
toast.
pills or something.
Yeah. We're good. Toss it. Burn it.
No. I'm not going to do that.
No. Huh. Well, I end each episode with the same question.
Shoot, are we done?
Isn't that crazy? Flies by.
Okay.
What do you wish more people understood about you? We're talking about ripping taints, and I'm like, what do you wish the world knew about you? Or where do you feel misunderstood in your life?
Probably that I'm anxious as fuck.
Yeah.
Particularly with pregnancy, there's a lot of anxiety that comes in different ways. And I think everyone has their own sense of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But I make jokes and I am very kind of open. But like there's a lot of anxiety that goes through at least me as a pregnant woman. That is isolating. So like kind of more of a PSA if like your friends are pregnant and you don't know how to be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to say that.
Right. And ask
yeah,
how
like,
you need help.
Hey, I don't know what you're going through.
Right.
You know,
what do you need?
What do you
how
need?
Can I show
or like
up?
It's interesting because, you know, you don't need people just to show up because that can be anxiety filled as well. But reaching out, because pregnancy can be very isolating, is probably recommended.
Yeah.
And if it takes 4 days for me to get back to you, it's because I have no memory. And then I'll see it on my phone later and I'll be like, oh shit.
Yeah. But it feels good to have that support in that way.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I would probably say that's like kind of a blanket statement for pregnant women.
Yeah. Or probably anyone going through something. No, but that's a good point. If, you know, a friend of yours is going through something that you may not understand, ask them, you know, how can I show up for you? Or just a mere text checking in can go miles.
Or like even something silly or stupid.
Yeah.
You know, again, I think like my first 2 trimesters, first one, because you didn't tell anybody, you are literally alone. But then second one, you're kind of like, oh, I'm not invited to things anymore because I'm pregnant. And you take it personally when like you think about it as a rational person. And my friends were like, Molly, it started at 10. Like there's no way you were going. And I was like, yeah, you're right. But I would have liked the invite.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a learning curve. I don't even know if that's the right word. When your friends are not pregnant or not married and still having a silly goose time.
Love it for them.
Yeah, but you're like, well, can you just maybe ask me?
Yeah,
I want to
come. Say no, but I want to know what you're doing.
Yeah. Don't leave me in the dark.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I am so excited for you. I know this is around the corner. I wish I could be in the hospital room just
You want me to
giving
add
a little.
you my birth plan?
Yep. I'll bring some pom-poms, some 5, 6, 7, 8. And we just can't wait to welcome sweet baby boy into the world.
Can't wait.
Woo!